Well, I'm kinda surprised no one's talking about this, because there is a decently high chance we might get another musical band from the universe of League of Legends this year. Throughout the last month, with all the good, funny and strange news surrounding Riot, some people went onto the internet and became vocal, which is nothing special really, and it resulted in Reddit posts such as this one. It feels like Riot is only transparent on topics they can spin into positive, and doesn't talk about obvious facts that they cannot spin. Not the most positive post, is it? Now, what was the post really about? I don't know, it was removed. I would joke about this being nothing new on League's Reddit, but I'm pretty sure it was justified here because it seems like the original poster went hard on Freak for no reason. And if there is one thing we never do, it is target individual rioters. We can joke about Riot making funny decisions, but we never cross the line of harassing someone, okay? Also, I wouldn't be surprised if this post talked about the fact that we were supposed to get a lore update 4 months ago. But now you may be wondering, what does this have to do with Riot's music? Well, you see, whatever was part of the original post doesn't matter. The title kinda says it all, I guess. What is important is that, being the Chad he is, Riot Lasers came out and talked about the concerns. Of course, when he did it, he was talking about from his own point of view and he was not representing Riot at that moment, but he is still Riot Lasers. In case you don't know who he is, he's the guy who announced all the amazing things coming to League of Legends. It is mainly stuff like the removal of mythic items. And here, while he gave us a lot of context for what is happening around League of Legends, he also teased something awesome that might have been an accident, but I believe he did it on purpose to show people that yes, Riot is actually working on awesome stuff. So just know that while we don't have the original context of the post, because now it was deleted, just know that it was probably a bunch of bad stuff aimed at Freak. For some reason. Also, it will take a bit before we get into the juicy part, but I swear all of this is important. So without further ado, let's dive in. Spin can be applied both ways, positively and negatively. I can clarify some of the statements and assumptions made by OP. Freak is dope, and he has always been connected to the community. He doesn't need the impetus of the lack of the season start cinematic, which we have spoken about being a mistake. Honestly, it was a miss that disappointed a lot of people internally too, to do dope things. Oh, so this post also talked about the season start cinematic. Arena was never slated for December release, and once greenlit was always pointed at Summer Soulfighter. Now, the modes team and others around the org really pulled heroics to make it as amazingly fun as it was on the pretty short turnaround. Huge kudos to everyone involved. The motivation here was to deliver one of the biggest summer events ever, and by almost every qualitative and quantitative metric, we did that. Shout out to Tournament of Souls, pretty sweet execution from the team. Yes, I absolutely agree. Arena was a massive W. It was the best gameplay I have ever experienced in the entirety of League of Legends. And yes, I liked it even more than my beloved Odyssey. And I am by far not the only one who thinks this. It seems like Arena had a far better reach than even Riot expected. How do I know this? I heard a lot of streamers from other games and other corners of the internet that actually played League just for Arena. And that wasn't a rare occasion. It really reignited the passion for League in a lot of people. And Lasers even confirms this in the next paragraph. The most important KPI, that's key performance indicator, for the summer event centered around engagement, overall and of various different activities, and revivals of churned players. The vast majority of players who participated in Soulfighter spent $0, as we expected and think is right. This is something we should keep in mind, especially with the entire Jhin skin drama happening. More on that later. Nexus Blitz is coming in October and Arena is coming back in December, because we believe that novel game modes are the key part of delivering a variety of fun experiences for different player types. Expect this to be a signal of increased and consistent investment in this space from our teams. This is also a very nice confirmation that indeed fun from game modes is currently taking priority. Which is good! I've been preaching about this for years now! So it's nice to see Riot settling on the same thing. I swear it's not impacting my ego in a negative way. Also, don't ignore the fact that he mentioned that originally Arena was only planned for summer. So the fact that we are getting it again in December comes from the passion the team has for the game mode. As well as the fact that they probably realize its potential. But then we got this. There is a lot of dope media, things to hear or watch, coming in the next 4 months, not just the season start cinematic. But the season start cinematic is shaping up pretty spicy in my opinion. Maybe some of you will think it sucks. Others will say, well, that doesn't make up for not having one last year. Both of those opinions will be legitimate takes, just not things we can really pre-mitigate against. So, let's just ignore the thing we heard at the beginning for now. He definitely mentioned stuff coming out in the next 4 months, because Worlds will happen around that window, and it also goes into January, which is when usually we get season start cinematics. I like how he was also incredibly honest about the season start cinematic. He thinks it's going to be a very good one, but he also knows that some people will not think it makes up for not having the last one. Which totally makes sense. It's not like they spent more time making the cinematic. They weren't actually working on it for twice as long. So at the very least, it should be on par with other cinematics such as The Call. And if that turns out to be true, I'll be very happy. In the next part, he actually dives into Jhin's skin too. Dark Erasure Jhin is expensive and not for everyone. In free-to-play games like League, the vast majority of players spend $0 over many years of play. Each year, players earn a lot of free skins. High-spending players effectively subsidize the game for everyone else, allowing us to pay for servers, stuff, and dope shit outside of the game itself. We do not and will not sell pay-to-win products in League, unless you consider champion unlocks as they currently are to be pay-to-win. Premium cosmetic content that not everyone can or wants to access is what we believe to be the best option for both players and Riot. We'll be sharing more about our comprehensive monetization strategy going forward soon. So yes, by sharing soon, I assume that means we will get a post talking about the Jhin skin. With that said, I want to mention something I have mentioned every time I talked about the Jhin skin, but a lot of people successfully ignored. I believe it is totally fine to realize your market potential. If Riot knows that there is an audience that wants to pay more, it is fine if they try to serve them. We can joke about it being a recolor or how the new icons are not really new, but the thing that really sucks about this is that it is indirectly preying on the people who would like to get the skin, but who don't want to be whales. Even if it is not on purpose, and here I do believe it is not entirely on purpose. It feels like they are trying to target the whales, but they are not doing it in the best way. And that's because they went for it through gacha. The gacha mechanics are tempting enough to turn people into big spenders, while having a really high chance of not getting what you actually want to get. The fact that the skin itself is $200 is kinda whatever. It is funny and kinda stupid, but As we mentioned in our last video, people call it the stupid people tax for a reason. But the gambling layer on top of it is what sucks. Again, the reason why they are doing it is not actually that horrible. I just hope that with future iterations, they will change the system a bit to be a bit more friendly. To give you some contrast, everyone knows that the pricing in Valorant is ridiculous, but it is not random, so people may laugh at their own draconic skins for $100, but it is still a better system than what Jhin got. But at the end of the day, as was mentioned in the response, it's not like it will turn League into pay to win. But then, we also got another interesting comment. I do not want to comment on past employees, but I can say we recently welcomed an incredible and experienced creative director to the team, who is driving a lot of cool ideation around how we can enrich the player experience within the world, lore, and stories of Runeterra. Let us cook. This is the teeny tiny light at the end of the tunnel. This is why I'm still huffing copium. While the lore went totally quiet, probably because of all the reorganizations, it seems like the lore teams are doing something. We just don't know what. He mentioned that they are driving around new ideas, which makes me wonder. Maybe they will walk away from the walls of text because those stories didn't get much traction. This has always been a sad point around League's lore. The lore itself is stellar, but unless someone makes a video about it or talks about it, most people will never experience the stories. Because, truth be told, not a lot of people were reading them. Trust me, I would know, my channel is full of numbers to back it up. So maybe Riot is looking for other ways to deliver the lore. And I don't mean just waiting for Riot Forge or Legends of Runeterra to carry them. Maybe they are looking for their own way of doing it. A wild idea? What if they will go for fully voiced stories? The Ruination had a stellar audiobook version, and Valorant's lore is pretty much relying on audio as well. And most people there at least somewhat know what is happening every time a cinematic comes out, which means that it likely works. What if League goes for the same system? That would honestly be pretty cool, and it would make a lot of people engage with it. Again, this is just a bunch of copium, but at least now we know that the team is working on something. At the end of the post, Pupulations mentioned that he's not trying to be defensive. He knows that Riot has made mistakes in the past, he saw it from the outside before he joined, and now he got to see it from the inside too. He confirmed that it tears people apart every time they don't deliver on promises, which is something everyone should remember. I can guarantee you, none of the developers want to make a bad game. Oftentimes, they reflect themselves and their passion in the things they make. And maybe they see a reflection of how good they are. So why would they purposefully make it bad? To directly pick a quote from what he said, the League of Legends team genuinely gives a shit. So remember that sometimes circumstances just don't land. And at the very end, he mentioned how they failed in the past and they will fail again, especially when they go for bigger risks. And he points out that it is important to call out the leadership whenever they are steering League of Legends into a bad place, rather than believing that the individual rioters don't care about players. I believe on this channel we have always done this. When bad things happen, we call out the League of Legends, not individual rioters. Despite how harsh we can be at times. And I hope everyone else keeps doing the same. And that's where the post ends. So overall, this was a great reply, very honest and very much to the point. But most importantly, you might be wondering, what was that part about? Well, let me show you, and you better put your tinfoil hat on. You see, in the part where he was talking about the media that Riot is currently working on, he was talking about cinematics, champion reveals, stuff like that. But I believe if he was only referencing videos, he wouldn't specifically mention hear or watch. I think he was very specifically teasing something to do with the music, and I'm not just talking about champion themes. But of course, this alone can't support much. It wouldn't be enough to claim that Riot is working on a whole new band, let alone that we will see it by the end of this year. Well, it turns out that this was teased quite a few times in the past, and it all just happens to line up now. For example, remember when TFT gave us those cool roadmaps? Remember when we got that 2023 roadmap? At the end, you can see that in winter we will get a new set, meaning that it is coming out around Worlds. And the set is themed around music. Originally, I theorized that we would get some pentakill units, some KDA units, Bard, stuff like that. But it wasn't until now that I realized how well it all lines up. Of course, TFT would also like to cash in on the hype. Of course, the set would be aiming for winter, because that's when Riot always releases their music. And to be honest, if you look at the timelines, it's been a while. We should get a new music drop soon. The first two pentakills are outliers, because that's when it all started. Pentakill 1 was June 2014, Pentakill 2 was August 2017. But look how the rest lines up. Original KDA, November 2018. True Damage, November 2019. KDA More, October 2020. With the latest one being Pentakill Lost Chapters, September 2021. With 2022 being all about reorganization, it would align with the 2023 release. In the past, they all aligned at the end of the year, targeting worlds just like TFT's music set. It also makes sense why they would be pushing for it now, because next year it seems like Arcane will steal the thunder, since that one is also targeting the fourth quarter of the year. And I do not believe they will drop another band around that time, because when it comes to music, they will likely get another band to make a new music theme for Arcane, just like what happened with Imagine Dragons. And I strongly doubt they would try to overshadow them with another virtual band. But at the same time, I doubt Riot would want to wait for 2025. That gap would be too massive. So getting something this year makes the most sense. I don't believe it will be new Pentakill, because that one was the most recent. And I don't believe it will be new KDA, because Riot learned that if the band does well, it is hard to top them with a follow-up. So I believe it will be a brand new band. Lastly, it all also lines up with the infamous piece of news that Riot signed the biggest budget League of Legends has ever had for 2023. And many people are still wondering, where is the budget? Well, I think that's where it's going. KDA was the first time Riot really broke out into the mass media. That was even before Arcane. And it was when Riot showed everyone that they are more than just a gaming company. So of course they would put a lot of focus there too. The fact that here Pew Pew Lasers is trying to tell us that Riot is working on more stuff and that we should let them cook is showing us that yes, something will likely happen in the next 4 months. Though at the same time, we are still wearing tinfoil hats. So did Pew Pew Laser screw up by saying what he said? I genuinely believe this is not on the same level as someone leaking something. He just healthily teased that something may or may not be happening. So nothing is confirmed, but it surely sparked up some theories. The bad thing about this is that we got burned by theories in the past. Void event, anyone? Maybe he is just talking about cool new champion themes. But I honestly doubt it. TFT has never betrayed us. We had some differences with $200 arenas and very expensive chibis. But when it comes to set, they have always delivered. We did get a lore set, and now we will get a music set. So the question now is, what kind of a music genre is the new band gonna be? Wait, it just dawned on me. Worlds are gonna be in Korea. They will wanna play there. And a few years ago, Riot replied to that person who made the fan art. It will be a K-pop boy band.